Ooh, hey everybody out there on the internets. I didn't do the white balance. I don't really care. It's fine. A little out of practice with this and whatever. I'm not gonna bother to fix it. Maybe I like being blue. Abadi abadai. It's been a while. So tonight I went out to see Missing Link. Now, before I can even really go into this, I need to preface a couple things. Number one, you can tell I've got a little something going on in my throat. So, sorry about that. I went to an academic conference and hanging around other intellectuals. Maybe I'll try this backwards cap thing and be like Fred Durst. I went out to an academic conference in Omaha, Nebraska, and their intellectual bullshit hit me and I got crud. I mean, I was really bad Sunday night, Monday, and a little Tuesday. Now I've got is just leftover crud where I'm hacking stuff up. But yeah, we're at an interesting crossroads here in Western Tennessee, because tonight, when I went to see The Missing Link, I was the only person in the theater, and I knew that before I got into it. How, you may ask? Well, the theater that I've been going to for these screenings hadn't really updated anything in a long time. They didn't really need to. Because they really had no competition. And so, there is a new theater. I don't know if it's 16 or 10 screens. I don't know. But it is literally less than a mile away. In fact, the direction I'm facing, it is a mile that way. And I guess when it was gonna open, this theater felt extremely threatened, which, well, I mean, if you've seen my reviews from other movies, I mean, I took a picture of they still had a public phone in there, for God's sakes. It didn't work, but it was still there. And so they've been renovating the living daylights out of this. I mean, I made mention of this. They finally got reclining chairs and all this other stuff. And now they are almost done renovating. Not 100%, but getting closer. They still have the ugly carpet, but that's reminiscent of a 90s arcade. But it's improving, and that's part of the reason I was gonna go to the other theater, but I chose not to, mainly because this one had an earlier time. They're both playing The Missing Link. This one is at 9. I did not want to wait until 10. I mean, that would have probably guaranteed that nobody would have been there, but I did not want to mess with it. So I was the only person in the theater. Not the first time, but I love it when it happens. But this is one of the few times when I've gone into a theater and that's happened where I kind of wish I wasn't. I know that's really odd for me to say, considering how I feel about being in theaters to begin with, but I want to see this movie get support. I don't throw that out there lightly. Those of you who have followed me for any length of time know that I'm dying of lung cancer at this point. That's what my coworker said. Sound like I've been chain smoking for 40 years. That would have been my father, not me. But, yeah, this movie, okay, so first of all, Missing Link is made by the same people who made Coraline. Now, for me, Coraline is probably up there as one of my favorite animated films ever. It is so well done, so well animated. I love the style. It reminds me a lot of Beetlejuice. It's stellar. It's the same people. It's the same stop motion style. And as I was sitting there watching the movie, I did have those flashbacks to, wow, okay, yes, this is good. It's not quite up to Coraline standards, but it's good. Because this is one of those things that, and this is something that I've been saying for probably since I started doing this. Family entertainment and animated movies, specials, what have you, don't have to be dumb. They don't have to be cynical. This movie is neither. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it was pretty solid throughout. Then the last 20 minutes happened, and then it just the stock shot straight up. I really enjoyed this film. I was a little leery of it. I mean, I didn't really watch any trailers prior. I just knew that it was coming out. But it's solid. It's written solid. It's not rude. It's not crass, fart jokes and everything that you would typically see in children's fare. It deals with some serious material. They even do some serious action in this film. And it works well. So basically, I'll try to give you a good gist. There's a eccentric playboy whose whole dream is to be accepted as this member of this great men's club. They discover things, they hunt things, conquer things, what have you, and he wants to be a part of it. And his whole thing is discovering mythical beasts. In the very beginning, he discovers a Loch Ness monster, but loses his evidence. And he tries his best to make do with it, but it doesn't suffice. But he gets a letter from somebody in Washington State. Now, he lives in London, and this is from Washington State. This movie is set, and this is something that does open up an interesting conversation. This movie is set prior to 1900. There's a scene where you see the Statue of Liberty being constructed, so I'm gonna judge somewhere between 1895 and 1900. And there's a huge conversation about traditional thought versus new ideas, because the main antagonist, he complains about evolution, women's suffrage, other ideas, and it's got that that train of thought that was prevalent back then. And this movie does not shy away from those themes of action. Like, for instance, how this all evolves. The missing link sends Frost a letter saying, "Hey, I'm here. I want you to discover me and help me." And so he goes to Washington State, he discovers him and all that, and they make a plan to go to the Himalayas since the missing link is he says that he has nobody around him. He just wants family, and Mr. Frost agrees, or Sir Frost agrees, and they go through all these wacky adventures to get the map to the Himalayas, which is, that his ex-partner who died trying to find the Yeti, because this is what the missing link wants to do. He wants to reunite with his Yeti brethren. And the whole progression to getting there is pretty good. The addition of Zoe Saldana's character, I guess I can't remember the character's name, who is Sir Frost's ex-partner's widow. She's well done. They complement the whole thing very well as they progress to the Himalayas. And like I said, this movie, story-wise, was pretty good. I enjoy it. It deals with those topics that are, a little bit more mature, including attempted murder on a couple of occasions. There are some violent moments, but it's like, it's well done. It's not just, oh, shocking, or hey, we're gonna fire off some pistols, because it's incorporated well. The plot is, pretty straightforward. It's not convoluted. But like I say, it wasn't until the third act that things really picked up for me, and like I started laughing. Like, there were some jokes prior to the third act that had me smile or giggle, like an implied prison sex joke in